Okay, here is an A-B comparison or a versus video between the Polsen MCPOD mic and the Polsen M85, both dynamic microphones. One of them handheld, one of them not. I'll go through that in a minute. This is a review that was requested by one of my viewers, Chris Maffei. Hope I pronounced that right, Chris. From my last video, he said that he thinks the M85 sounds better. We'll let you decide that when you listen to this. Now, let's talk about my signal chain. Right now, I've got the Polsen MCPOD mic with a pop filter on the grill, which is just a standard ball microphone pop filter that fits this mic really great. XLR into the XLR input of a Zoom H4n Pro recorder. I've got my input level at 60 on the Zoom recorder. I'm recording a wave file, I should say. 44.1 and 16 is the recording sample rate. Let me just tell you real quick about the pod mic. The pod mic is, and I'll tell you my use cases for both these mics. I use the MC pod mic for my in-home recording, or in my, I guess my, what you would call my home studio, but it's not really a studio. It's just a desk at my house. But I have a scissor arm and it's fixed on the desk. It is a permanent mounted microphone. It's not something that I'm going to throw in a bag and go somewhere. This is the at-home microphone. I really like the way the MC Pod mic sounds on my voice. It appears to have a flat frequency response, or at least a more flat frequency response than a lot of dynamic microphones. It's got a really good range of frequency. It covers 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, which is almost like what a condenser mic would do, really. Sensitivity level I don't have off the top of my head. I want to say it's in the 50s, like 57, I think. I'm not going to get into the specs. I mean, you can go to B&H Photo, you can look up the MC Pod mic by Polsen, and the specs are right there on the website. Mainly, I just want you to hear the difference in these two mics. So yeah, this microphone is what I use when I'm recording at my house in a stationary fashion. It does not leave my desk. It stays where it is. Now, not to say that if I had to take it somewhere, I couldn't, but it's not going to be a handheld mic I'm going to throw in the bag. This mic requires a stand to use properly. So this is the Polsen MC Pod mic. Now I'm going to leave everything as it is, settings just like they are on the Zoom recorder, and then I'm going to plug in the Polsen M85. So hang on a second, and I'll switch over. Okay, this is the Polsen M85 handheld dynamic microphone. It also has a foam pop shield that I've placed over it for the standard ball pop shield that you see on these microphones. I use a foam pop filter, or at least a pop filter of some kind, on every mic that I use, simply because I don't know if it's just my bad technique or maybe my lack of experience or whatever, but I seem to get a lot of sibilants and plosives in my sound or in my voice recordings. So I go ahead and I stick a pop filter on every mic I use, and it helps me a lot. So this is the Polsen M85. Now, it's a handheld dynamic microphone. It is a great all-around versatile microphone. You can use this for podcasting. Yes, you can mount it permanently like you would the MC Pod mic if you want to leave it somewhere. Though my use case for this microphone, since I've got the M85, since I've got the MC Pod mic, I just take the M85 and I keep it in I have what I call a go bag. And basically it's the Zoom H4n Pro recorder. And I take at least one or two mics in the bag, a cable, and some sort of earbuds or headphones to monitor with. And that way I can do, podcast if I'm out in a portable or mobile situation. Sometimes I'll have impromptu phone interviews, and I'll run my iPhone into another channel on the H4n Pro, and then I'll record using this mic. So, it's great to have if you need to be portable and on the go with your equipment. So that's really what it's made for. So I just keep this one as my to-go mic. Now, I also can use it if I have, let's say I have somebody at my desk and I'm using the MCPOD mic in a podcast and I have a guest. Well, this is a perfect guest mic. So, or let's say something happens and I have technical problems with, the MCPOD mic, which hasn't happened, but I could grab this mic. So it's a good backup. A lot of people would say this mic would be better to use than the MCPOD mic. At least that's what Chris Mafey thinks, that has watched my prior video. The frequency response, I'm not going to get into the nuts and bolts of it, but I think it's not as, the frequency range, I don't believe is as wide as the MCPOD mic. And I think it also has a presence boost in the vocal range on the frequency response side. And that's very common for the handheld dynamic mics, the SM58s and all that stuff, because they're made to be in a live environment and maybe within a mix, and you want the voice to be heard above the mix so they can actually hear you singing or talking or whatever. So this is my comparison of the Polsen MCPOD mic versus the Polsen M85, both dynamic microphones. Let me know what you think in the comments.